So happy to be here with you today. This meeting is recorded, as you may have seen already, so we're trying to make this as accessible as possible to students, as we know that a lot of you have questions about what success looks like in terms of events and all of the other things that might come up today. Just know that the Center for Student Involvement, University Recreation, Campus Ministry, Campus Conference and Event Services, and other offices are here for you and want you to be successful as well. We're all in this with you in ways that are brand new to us as well. And we know that and appreciate the continued work that you all do as leaders to make our campus better and more engaging for all of us. So before we get started, I just want folks to go around to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Tara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tara Graham, she, her pronouns. I am the Assistant Director of Conference and Event Services here on campus, so I'm here to help answer any event needs or any event questions you might have today.
Thanks. DeAndre?
Hi, everyone. My name is DeAndre Jones. I serve as one of the Assistant Directors in the Center for Student Involvement. I oversee campus events and traditions and advise Seek, Red Zone, and Dance Marathon. Great to see all of you.
Thanks. Angel?
Hi, everybody. I'm Angel Asuncion Reed. I'm an Assistant Director at the Center for Student Involvement, and I help support our club communities on campus. She, her pronouns.
Michelle? Sorry, I know that you're also closed captioning, so. Oh, no.
Not yet. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Herber-Kowalczyk. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Associate Director in the Center for Student Involvement. I work with student government and leadership programming.
Okay, let's jump over to campus ministry staff. We'll jump to Erin.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Barry Anderson and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director in our Campus Ministry office and an alum of Seattle University. I'm really grateful to be here with you today. I help oversee all of our religious and spiritual student clubs on campus, and I help facilitate community of student athletes, and I'm the advisor for Young Life. So thanks for having me and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Erin. Victoria?
Thank you. I am Victoria Carr-Ware. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Ecumenical and Multi-Faith Campus Minister. So I work with all of our religious and spiritual student clubs on campus, and I'm the advisor for several of them, in addition to being sort of like the overseer. I don't like that word, but, you know, I'm the enforcer. Thank you.
Thanks, Victoria. All right, let's jump over to UREC staff and Shu.
Hi all, I am Kirsten Schumacher. Everyone calls me Shu though, and I use she, her pronouns. I will be keeping my video off today so I can actually hear you all due to my lovely internet connection. But I am the Assistant Director for Competitive Sports, meaning that I oversee our intramural sports and also our sport club program.
And today, helping us out in the beginning with closed captioning is Viv. Viv, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm a graduate assistant in Center for Student Involvement. I work with Michelle in advising the undergraduate student government. Also really bad at closed captioning, so bear with me.
Thanks for doing it, Viv. Since we have a pretty small group, I'm wondering if we can do quick intros of the students that are here and maybe the clubs and organizations that you're involved with. I'm just going to go in random order and start with Eric.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for setting this up and helping us out today. I represent the Seattle University Student Nurses Association. I am the secretary and normally our president that would be here as well as Nina or Serena Santos. But yeah, very excited. Again, thank you.
Thanks. Braden?
Hello everyone, Brian Camarada. I'm representing the Seattle University Road Rat Club on campus. I'm the current president of the club.
Great, thanks. I'm going to jump over to Audrey.
Hi, I'm Audrey Graves. I'm representing Saikai and I'm serving as the Vice President this year.
Very cool. There are a couple of you that do not have your names up, so I'm going to jump back to you. Marian is next.
Hi everyone, I'm representing Seattle University's United Filipino Club today, and I'm serving as their barrio chair for this year.
Great. Christiana.
Hi, I'm Christiana, and I'm representing the National Society of Black Engineers, and I'm serving as their president this year.
Great. Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm representing the Seattle University Japanese Student Association.
Thanks. Taylor, hi.
Hi, sorry, my video quality has not been the best, so we'll see how it goes. I am serving, my name's Taylor, she, her, hers. I'm serving as the interim president for Food with Spirit.
Thank you. Matt, it looks like you're still connecting to audio, so I'm going to jump to Daniel.
Hi, I'm here representing Mechanical Engineering Club.
Great, thank you. Yuki?
Hi everyone, my name is Yuki and I'm representing Chinese Student Association and I'm serving president this year. Nice to meet you all here.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for being here. Ben?
Hi, I'm here with SU, National Society of Black Engineer with Christiana. So I'm here as the Vice President, just so, yeah.
Awesome, thanks for being here. And Matt, are you able to join us? Looks like you're still connecting, so Dale?
Hi, sorry, I was a little bit late. My name is Dale Watanabe with the International Student Center, representing, I guess, International Dinner. I'm also advisor for the Japanese Student Association and Indonesian Student Association.
Thanks, Dale. Ryan.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Asensio. I'm representing the Albers Undergraduate Leadership Program as the Financial Officer.
Thanks, Ryan. And then Caleb, is it? Caleb.
Yeah, I'm Caleb Akiyama, and I'm representing the Ultimate Frisbee Club, and I'm the current president.
Very cool. Thanks all for being here. Just know that we're here to do a quick overview of what's going on from the different departments. And but we really want to focus on answering any questions that you might have. So from there, I will pass it on to the next speaker.
We want to start by just launching a quick poll to get a sense of what are you hoping that we cover today. And that can help us just determine, as we're doing the little like parts at the beginning, where we put our energies and focus. So you should have seen a poll to jump up, and it should be multiple choice. So check as many as you are interested in. Beautiful. We have 13 out of 15, so we'll just give a few more seconds and I'll just end poll with whatever we have. So a lot of questions around hosting virtual events, event logistics, really just a community space to be together, funding, and learning from one another about what other clubs or orgs are doing. So that's really helpful. I believe next up we have Angel talking about the club handbook addendum.
So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen to the Connect SU. So I can help everyone how to find the club handbook and also the new addendum to the handbook in reference to COVID. So we're here on Connect SU on the homepage, and if I scroll all the way down, you'll find the campus links portion, and you'll see the club handbook, which we've updated, and also this club handbook addendum, which is in reference to all the things that are happening with club leadership and policies as we are guided by a lot of folks, from institutional to the different levels of government, public health officials, etc. So this is a really great reference for a lot of our club leaders. I know a lot of our club leaders work with all the different policies, from food to raffling, that's a state level mandate, and such, and this is a really great reference and resource for all of you. So I'm just going to go down so that you're able to see what we have incorporated into this. So some of the resources, upcoming events, we've had the forum, we're having the forum now, we're having the Fall Involvement Week next week, so make sure your club is registered for the appropriate day as you've identified as a category. And all the events are on Connect SU. And really utilizing Connect SU as a platform to do outreach for our campus community. All of our members in the campus community is uploaded into Connect SU. So I'm seeing a lot of events actually being generated on Connect SU, and it's been great because that's when our students, current students, are able to see what your clubs are doing and are able to see who to contact within your leadership, and also join your club community. So really utilizing the features of Connect SU. And I'm gonna just mention Zoom Pro, Zoom Webinar, but I know that Tara will be talking a little bit more about that. And then I'm looking at chat, fun fact, yes, 4,000 users. That's amazing. And then Office 365, all of this with the seattleu.edu, you're able to utilize the Office 365 and all of its features. So really leveraging that platform. And then Tara's going to talk about the virtual event support. They have a really great webpage. For Center for Student Involvement, we have a lobby, a virtual lobby that's managed and staffed by student leaders from 11 to 5 p.m. Those information, the link informations are on Connect SU. So make sure that if you have questions and just wanting information about a particular club event and how to look for it or anything logistical, make sure that you hop on or just say hi and hang out with us in the lobby, the virtual lobby. And then we get into the publicity policy. As a lot of you are aware, publicity is a really effective way of doing outreach to the community and to your members. But in time of COVID, to lessen the risk and exposure, we have implemented a digital publicity policy during COVID. So our digital policy, we have the digital reach TV screens in the Student Center available for all of you to post your virtual flyers. And so the process with that is located here in the addendum and the steps to do so. And in order for clubs to have your flyers, your digital flyers, to be publicized and posted on the TV reach screens, you would have to post and create your event in Connect SU. And also another medium to promote your event is we're partnering with KXSU. So you're able, if you post your events on Connect SU, they will see your event information and will promote it on their broadcast. So that's a really great effective option for publicity for your events. We do have print publicity, which are only flyers at this time, but the policy with that is to email involvement at CLU EDU, and but it's up to you to print out the flyers and post on bulletin boards on campus. And we know that you'll be doing that in a really safe, low risk way. And after your event is over, the flyers must be removed within 48 hours after the event. And just an FYI, Housing and Residence Life manages their own approving process. So make sure you connect with them if you want publicity within the housing and residence halls. And so we're not doing roll downs, table tents, or buttons at this time. And then for planning events, I'm actually going to skip over this for a little, as I know that Tara's going to be covering that, but this is also a place for you to reference after the forum. And I know this is, as I saw in the poll, important in regards to funding, especially with fundraising. So bake sales and in-person fundraising events are suspended for fall quarter. You're encouraged to host virtual fundraisers such as silent auction. And we have gotten approval that we are able to use Venmo for collecting funds during this time. But what's required is that you connect with me so that I'm able to give you the step-by-step that the controllers have given to me in order for clubs to be able to utilize Venmo platform. And some of the things that I know that clubs have been doing are selling merchandises and online fundraising. We'll talk a little bit about that. And depositing club funds. I just actually talked to CSSA about this, but the information is here. And yeah, and that's our addendum to the handbook in regards to the COVID. So I will pass this on to Shu.
I am not going to share my screen right now. It seems like me and Caleb kind of get to have a one-on-one conversation for a second as the only sport club representative. And I will keep it brief, as I know that Caleb and I started a conversation yesterday over email and have the potential to connect also. But know that sport clubs each have their own requirement to build a plan about returning to be able to function as even a partial similarity to past sport club functions, including how they will manage their own individuals to maintain social distancing, many trainings, many things leading up to their national governing bodies. The one thing that I do want to share with you, Caleb, in case you haven't seen it yet, is that your club budget will remain as your rollover from last year. That fundraising for this year at this point in time is at least drastically reduced, if not the fundraising requirement will not be required and community service is not required at this point in time. I will send you these plans, Caleb, since we started talking yesterday about what it looks like to become a club this fall, since you do have folks in the Seattle area, and I'm happy to answer more questions from you. However, since this form is a little bit more full of non-sport clubs, I want to save and respect that time, or we can chat individually if that works for you, Caleb. Perfect, saw that thumbs up. I will pass it back then to our next speaker.
I think that's me. Hi everyone, again, I'm Tara. I'm with Conference and Events Services. So just to update you, with where we're at so far for events this year, as many of you may have already seen, we are really not having any we are not having any in-person meetings or events this quarter. We have canceled just about everything for the quarter, and we are really encouraging all connection to be online. We have closed down our EMS web app is still running, but you are unable to book any meeting or event space for actually through the end of this year. Currently, we're keeping booking closed until we know more about what winter quarter and spring quarter might look like. We pretty solidly know what this quarter looks like, but winter and spring are still big unknowns, depending on how things continue to progress. So the EMS web app will not allow you to book any meeting space or event space on campus right now. The EMS web app will let you though request virtual event support. So that's really what CES has transitioned to being right now. We are your support system for helping plan your virtual events. And as you've all been using probably daily since, this all started. Zoom is our primary tool for virtual events, but we have you all, we're all using Zoom Pro right now. Everyone on campus has access to Zoom Pro. That's just automatically what we have as long as you are registered with your Seattle U email address, or as long as you log in with your Seattle U email address. But we also have other options. So, Zoom Pro is great for these meetings where these need to be interactive and you want to encourage questions and engagement. And with Zoom Pro, you have a 300-person capacity for these meetings, so lots of space for folks. But if you really want to host a big interactive event, we do also have something called Zoom Large Meeting, which is something you would need to request from us. Obviously you can plan an event using Zoom Pro anytime because you just already have access to it. Zoom Large Webinar, we have limited licenses available for that, so you do need to request that access from us, and that access goes up to 500 people for Zoom Large Meeting if you think you need a little extra space. So we do have that as an option. Zoom Large Meeting is identical to Zoom Pro, it's just a higher capacity. So all of the same features, and yeah, really easy to use. And we just actually add Zoom Large Meeting right to your individual account for a limited time, so you don't need access to a special separate account or anything. Then we also have Zoom Webinar, which is meant for more presentation style events, lectures, speakers, where for the most part you don't need like conversational audience engagement. It's much more presentation focused. So that is an option to you. Again, that's something you would need to request, especially through us, and you would use the EMS web app to do that. Zoom Webinar is great. Right now we have plenty of space available for more events to come in. So even though we do have a limited number of licenses, events are pretty spread out right now. So we do definitely have license available for any event planning you might want to do. CES is also like not just going to say, here you go, here's this brand new type of Zoom to use, have fun figuring it out. We are here to support you through that whole event planning process. So also, if you're thinking of hosting a virtual event and you're just not sure exactly where to begin, what platform is best for you to use, we reach out to us. We are happy to walk you through your options and help you think through what the different functions are of Zoom Pro and large meeting versus Zoom Webinar. Zoom Webinar looks very similar, like almost identical actually to Zoom Pro. It just has more features that you control in there to help you have a more polished presentation, I would say. So yeah, we do have deadlines though for requesting support with Zoom Webinar. If it's something you are interested in using, we do require a 10 business day lead time, just because we are requiring every single person who uses Zoom Webinar, who at least has not used it before, to go through a 60-minute tutorial with us. So we really want to set you up for success. We want to make sure you understand all of the different functions of it so that you are able to jump right into your event and yeah, have everything go smoothly. So there is some lead time in there. And also, you know, for starting advertising, you would want to request access at least a couple of weeks in advance so that we can get your participant link generated so you can send out to your participants and all of that. So just do be mindful as you start planning that it does require lead time. So if you're seeing that the date you want to request is not showing up as available, you might be under that 10 business day deadline. And you know, if that's the case, do feel free to reach out to us and see if we have any wiggle room, if we have some time in our schedules to support events earlier. We will try to be accommodating as we can. So do try to be mindful of that. We are going to be hosting some more informational sessions that go a little bit more in depth into the differences of Zoom Pro versus large meeting and Zoom Webinar just for the entire campus. That will be coming up within the next couple of weeks, and I'll make sure I send that to the Center for Student Involvement, hopefully send out to all of you. So keep an eye out for that, but otherwise we are always open and available for questions as we start planning ahead for this quarter and the upcoming quarters. With that, we'll, I guess, pass it to Samuel.
While we're waiting for Samuel to rejoin, are there any questions of the things that have come up so far?
I had one quick question for you, Tara, real quick. Is there any lead time needed for getting a big group Zoom meeting put together, similar to webinar, or is that just, can that be closer?
Great question. I also our system won't let you request that fewer than 10 business days. So I still do recommend that because we do have to work with IT to grant you that special access. So, and the licenses to it's a little bit of a hassle to be moving them around and making sure it's all, when multiple are being used at one time, we have to say, okay, I can grant you access on this date because the license is being used up until this point, and then you can use it. So 10 business days is, yeah, still the requirement, just so that we're able to get all of that situated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Samuel, let's see if you're...
Hi. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so for this year, there's going to be a few changes in regards to club funding and appropriations. So one of the big changes, and you can see this on our funding form on Connect SU, is that we have got rid of the stipulation that you need to fund 50% of your ask above $2,000. beforehand using like fundraising. And that was just because we felt like that was unreasonable to ask of clubs during this time. So for this academic year, we won't be requiring that from clubs. Also, another thing that we have changed, we have required for your online marketing materials that you have an SGSU logo on that if we are funding you. And that's just in regards to your like digital online marketing materials this year. So yeah. Yeah, those are pretty much our two big changes this year. And then also we have updated, of course, our funding form to reflect those changes, and you can the form is live, so you guys can go in and request funding at any time now.
Daniel, would you be able to share your screen and show them how to find the form for clubs? I know that especially new club leaders, it can be a little tricky to get to.
Sure. Give me a second, I'll pull it up really quickly.
Thank you, Samuel. Absolutely, Samuel, I can do that for you. So
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm having a small issue here.
So the way that you find the form is you would go into your organization. So I can go into our student government one. So whichever organization you're representing here today, you would click into Manage Organization, which you should have access to, and then going down to Finance. So you're able to create a, and this is the part that I always said, is it a budget request? Yes, create a budget request. So again, you go to your organization, manage your organization. On the side, go to finance, and then create a new budget request. From there, you're able to then, add more information. It'll actually have you do line item, budget information. You can see the funding limitations that and the disclaimers that Daniel was just talking about. So that's how you would navigate to it. I know it's confusing. I know many clubs start to look under forms, but it's not the case because your SGSU appropriations can only come through a club or organization. You have to go to your club organization page first. Daniel, did you have anything to add before we move on to the next speakers?
No, that was about it. Thank you, Michelle.
And I wanted to I've had a lot of questions about how to deposit funding. So I'm gonna do one more time this screen share because it's different. So we have some treasurers who are not in town. So you are able to send a check with writing your club's name on it, and on the memo, your club's activity string, AKA budget number, and you can mail it to this address here. But otherwise, I definitely recommend that you notify the Treasury team at this email to coordinate a day and time for a drop-off for deposits, so that they're aware you're coming. Because controllers, a lot of the staff there are also working remotely. So just wanting you to let you know that. And for sums of cash greater than $500, I know it's very rare, but sometimes make sure you contact the Treasury team as well. Does anybody have any questions regarding club funding support at this time? We are going to have a Q&A session later. With that, I was going to ask if Victoria wanted the space to talk a little bit about what spiritual and religious gatherings look like for our faith-based, religious-based clubs.
Yes, I think most of our clubs are utilizing Zoom as well for their meetings. And we still have our list of resources for local area houses of worship, which students can, utilize. And of course, the rules for gathering for religious and spiritual houses of worship are different in terms of the number of people that can gather. So that's probably an interesting question that we maybe need to talk about later, Angel. But students can, they can go to a service somewhere where there's 50 people gathered. So I'm not really here going to address how I feel about that, but it's to say that's an option for them at this point. We are obviously telling students that they can't meet in person other than that. So they're mostly utilizing virtual opportunities, Zoom and things of that nature. And we will be meeting with them. We have been doing this for the past, I don't know how many years, a quarterly meeting for all of our religious and spiritual student officers to kind of go over the do's and don'ts and the recognition process, which is an additional process to the one that CSI mandates, and ours includes like a non-proselytization policy and making sure they're welcoming and affirming to LGBTQ members. And so we, a lot of things are similar. We're just, as everyone else, trying to figure out how to do things virtually. And we're sending, virtual resources to worship and different experiences so people can worship virtually as well. I don't know if there's anything to add to that, Erin, Barry, at this moment. We're still trying to figure out, we also, as a department and campus ministry, have funding for our clubs in addition to the funding that's available through other means. So we're still trying to figure that out with all the kind of budget cuts and things that have been happening. I think that's it, Erin.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Thanks, Victoria. If anyone has any particular questions, you can reach out to Victoria, certainly, or myself as well.
Thanks, Angel.
Thank you, Erin and Victoria. I think at this time, we're going to actually open up the space for any of your questions, concerns, emotions, feelings. or if you want to share ideas with one another, the space is for you.
Okay, maybe I missed this in the beginning. My brain is, you know, when you were reading through Angel, the kind of addendum to the handbook for COVID, does it state clearly that we're not, students and others are not to be meeting in person? I missed that part.
Yes. So at this time, we are requiring, well, I know the word require, but clubs are being encouraged to meet virtual, and also all events and gatherings to meet virtual. I know I had a conversation with one of our clubs in regards to their community service, because their focus is on community service and off campus. We also are encouraging virtual gatherings for their communities with off-campus affiliations. But again, like I shared, I think it was Braden. I think it was Braden's group at Rotaract. What I share is I'm not the one tracking or monitoring this, but I do want to share that the leadership looks a little bit differently for our club communities. While connecting in person is so vital, we have to recognize that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and leadership needs to look about care, how to have care for your club communities and beyond, and also what the safety and good health look like in following the Washington state, federal mandates, and local counties, what they're giving to us. So those are the things that I hope that our leadership will take into consideration as you plan events and gatherings. It's definitely asking us to shift the paradigm, and sometimes it's very challenging, but those are the things that I would hope that our club leaders would really consider.
Can I just add something to that? Because I've had some conversations with students who, in some of the cases, our clubs are connected with a national body, and so they have an off-campus advisor. They have other advisors, other adult advisors who may live in other states and have different ideas about social distancing, and so I just want to add, like, if you're a student and you're feeling like kind of seesaw it back and forth between what we're saying and what other people are saying, like, definitely don't feel like you're on your own in this. Like, I said I was an enforcer, and I mean that. Like, I will talk to the other person and say, no, we're not going to do that. So I just don't want you to feel like kind of, you know, in between a rock and a hard place, like trying to figure out, you know, should I follow SU rules? Should I follow these rules? What do I do? Because I know we're getting kind of conflicting information sometimes from leadership, which can be unhelpful. So know that we're here to help you in those conversations and support you in whatever way that needs to happen.
I had a quick question regarding perfect dovetail on all of this. Obviously, our profession and our school is a little unique in that we are trying to give care, especially in times of emergency. And so I don't know if this question is more about the semantics of meeting in person. If we have consent from our members or the willingness to go help, whether it's a sort of clinic or you know, working with vulnerable populations as a group, is that something we should seek permission for? You know, I hear you loud and clear. You're saying that you're encouraging we don't meet, and I don't know if other groups, if this is unique, but because we are going into healthcare for the Nursing Association, I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit about that so we can get some clarification, please, and thank you.
I can certainly try. I would imagine because you all are also, because you're going into that field, that you're aware of the precautions. The thing that I would say too is I would ask what the connection is to the nursing program. And so if there are safeguards that you all can take through the nursing program, that's probably the safest way to do that, so that you're practicing the same sort of social distancing and all of the safe practices that you would normally under a practicum or any other visit to a medical facility. So I would say under those circumstances, I would default to whatever the nursing program would have you do as students in that program.
Thank you.
I can jump in here. One of the questions on, I think, all of our minds is how long this is going to be. And of course, we don't know, unless you have a crystal ball, in which case, please tell us, because we would love to know when this is going to change. However, we, like most things, we're making decisions as the things come down. So whether that's from the government or the conversation in our country or what we know locally, we're trying to pivot as quickly as possible. However, know that all those things are parts of a big picture of logistics. So if we know that tomorrow we can start to have 10 people meeting as opposed to 6 people meeting safely, that doesn't mean that things are going to happen quickly necessarily. So like Tara said, like other folks have said, we'll communicate to you as quickly as we know what the timing could be, what that could look like. Also, I would just say that we are advocating as much as we can to make sure that your voices are heard as event planners, as folks who are trying to create community on this campus. And we don't know everything, like I said at the beginning. So we do need your partnership and your voices so that we know what the concerns are, how we can advocate in rooms when we're able to. And also, if there are things that you're just like, I really need to know this, is this going to happen now? What should we plan? So the questions about winter and spring are always like, we still don't know. We know fall for sure. And the way that we think about it in our office for the events is winter and spring, we need to kind of do the same thing we've been doing. We can hope for an in-person event plan, and we have to plan wholeheartedly for an outstanding virtual experience as well. So I know that doesn't provide a lot of answers, and yet that's how we're thinking about it. So I'm not sure if that's helpful to you all as well. We don't know, and yet we can plan for what we do know. So I don't know if that brings up any questions about winter and spring, but that's how we're thinking about it.
And just to jump off what Bernie said real quick, for especially if you have big events that you typically hold in winter or spring quarters, please do start thinking now about how you can make that event into a virtual event. We are happy to start helping you have those conversations now, even though that feels really far in advance. Virtual events have taken on, whole, totally different feels from what their typical in-person counterparts will be, and we're happy to help you think through that process. We are also starting to explore in our office possibilities for what hybrid events could eventually look like, or how you could be broadcasting just from Seattle U to an audience. So like not even having a live audience there, but if restrictions allow for gathering enough so that you could have performers on a stage, or you know, whoever it might be, and you might be in a, you know, empty Pickett auditorium or empty Campion ballroom, but we are exploring, you know, what technical capabilities we have to be able to still like push that out in a Zoom webinar format or something like that, or, you know, a Facebook Live event or something. But do please start thinking about that now. Don't wait until the last minute to try to totally change trajectories because you've been hoping for an in-person event. Because yeah, there's so much more we can help you with when we have a long lead time.
I was wondering if I may ask, we have as a club, we have, I mean, as a chapter that's national, we have a convention that's happening it's supposed to be in March. And this year it was virtual, but I got the invite. I mean, we got the invite for a March convention that's supposed to be in person. But then I'm wondering how would that affect fundraising? Because as we fundraise, we're going to fundraise as for an in-person event because that's how it's scheduled for at this time. But then, so how would how would this situation affect how we fundraise for our convention, for example?
I think that's certainly a really important question, Ben. It's difficult, like Bernie said, to project like what is going to happen in the spring. I know that all travel is suspended at this time. And so I would say, like a lot of clubs are fundraising, but also that funding stays in your activity string should there be, excuse me, an opportunity that it opens up, travel opens up in March, then the funding, it's not going anywhere. When you do some fundraising, it'll stay in your activity string. I'm not quite sure about how SGSU appropriations should be approved for funding for travel. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if Michelle could speak to that or Samuel, but I know if you reach out to other areas, that's not going anywhere. It can just stay in your budget.
Samuel, did you want to talk about what that would look like on the SGSU side, or do you want me to do that?
Yeah, I could talk about it. So like, yeah, so if you're saying that it's not going to be in person, then yeah, I believe we can still fund it. And what Angel said was also correct. Like the money that we fund you is going to stay in your activity string, so you can also have those funds to use.
And I can give more context about what this looked like in March. And I know NSBE was one of the clubs that we did this with, but for the sake of everyone else. So we did have clubs last spring who sought funding from SGSU for in-person conferences. SGSU funded them for those in-person conferences as though they were going to happen. When things went virtual, it was simply figure out which, like what's the new cost, give SGSU the money back that you're not using, and you'd have to provide receipts for justification for the money that you did keep. As Samuel was saying, like we can fund in person, we can propose a funding around, we can propose funding for in-person. You can definitely fund anything that's online. But just know that if the in-person thing doesn't happen, then there would be a little bit of like transferring the money back just to make sure. And something to know is that we will follow the guidelines of the university. So as Angel said, the university is suspending non-essential travel right now until December. If they make that determination to go until April, then whether the conference is happening in person or not, we wouldn't be able to fund any of the travel expenditures, because technically from the university standpoint, that travel is not allowed to be taking place. Which, yeah, so I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, that's helpful. I mean, but then I was just worried that we will not be able to get funding because of the format of the event at this time, which is in person. So yeah, I will reach out to you close to the event date, I mean, event deadline for registration and see how we can work it out. And yeah, thank you.
I wonder if this is a good time to transition into some ideas that folks have seen, things that you're planning on doing with your groups. Good practices that you've seen for events, things that you felt engaged in with online events, and ways to share that with this group. What have people seen and experienced?
I could share quickly on behalf of a couple of the orgs that I advise. So Seek is going to be hosting their first, or I guess their first like Seattle program equivalent for those of you that are returning students. And it's going to be like a planting with Seek event, which basically they had like a limited number of like supplies that they sent out to students who RSVP'd in Connect SU, and then those students will be gathering virtually over Zoom to plant together to kind of discuss like different practices that they have for caring for their plants and things like that. And so that's one way that they're hoping to engage. We're also reimagining what Fall Ball, Battle of the Bands, and Quad Stock will look like in a virtual space. And so all three of those events are usually have at least over 100 people, if not way more than that too. And so that is definitely throwing a curveball in the way in which they're planning to move forward with those events. And so, but they're trying to get creative with that. Similarly, Dance Marathon is also going to be hosting Dance Marathon virtually this year, and it's being pushed back from February to April. And so we're looking at different platforms to see which way we want to still have the same level of engagement that we would normally have, whether that's through Zoom or looking at other mediums to try and do that as well. And then Red Zone during Welcome Week for first year students hosted a like speed friending event through Zoom. So they had students show up to a Zoom link similar to this, and then broke folks into breakout rooms for 4 minutes, and they were given a couple questions to kind of discuss together. And then they would come back into the main room and break back out randomly. So it was a really cool way to get connected using like changing your name on Zoom to either be like your Instagram handle or different things like that. So finding creative ways to get folks to engage and to stay connected beyond just the time and the space that you're providing at that moment. So hopefully those are some helpful ideas or thoughts as well.
Just a plug for the Red Zone event. We've heard really great feedback from students around that structure. So especially as a club in some of your intro events, or if you have a larger club and not everybody knows everybody right now, that could be, you know, a good sort of first couple meetings activity to do.
I can also add a couple of things here. So we know from particularly new students, but I think this translates to all of us on campus, we're really craving this connection and also connection with new folks, because we're in this place where it's really hard to meet new people. And so if there are ways that you can incorporate that, I know that anytime I've participated, and I know this is going to sound a little bit corny, but I know that when I participated in something that makes me talk about myself, whether that's an icebreaker or something like that, that makes me share a little deeper than usual, that's also a helpful way for folks to connect in this time of virtual everything. And then finally, I would encourage you, just like what DeAndre was saying about Dance Marathon and others might be considering, is don't make it just about Zoom. Zoom is certainly a great thing, but we're on Zoom all day, all the time. And so if there's other ways for you to interact, whether that's Netflix Party or some of the other platforms that are out there like Discord or something, this is a great time for you to think about exploring some other ways with safety in mind, of course, so that folks feel safe online. But it is a great thing for you to think about, right? Is this the right platform? It doesn't always have to be Zoom. Can it be YouTube? Can it be Instagram? Are there other ways that you can get to more people that will just kind of help with the fatigue? I know that if I just stare at this screen all day, which I've been doing all day today, it can get a little old. And I know that you all are on classes and doing all the things on Zoom anyway. So don't just defer, right? Like, I think as club leaders, think about maybe there are some other creative ways that you can interact with folks so that it's not just the same thing. And also just invite ways, even if you have a smaller exec team, to just pause and think about the ways that you can connect on a more personal level, because Zoom can feel so impersonal. You can easily jump into a lot of the business, but I think what our Jesuit education would encourage us to do is to really pull back and say, hey, where are we? How am I doing? What are the places of consolation, desolation? What are the things that I'm really bringing into this space so that people can connect on that more personal level too?
I can speak on some clubs on behalf of Albers. I'm involved in 2 clubs in Albers, and we had a meeting the other week, and we were talking about how a lot of the times the freshmen have been feeling overwhelmed because when they enter into a Zoom call, they're pretty much maybe the entire board member or all of the club members are there, and then they're just kind of, they don't know anyone, and they're pretty overwhelmed by the whole Zoom atmosphere, but then also by the amount of people in that call. And so they were discussing how maybe limiting the amount of executive board members or just general body on that call would maybe help them to feel a little bit more comfortable and more welcome. And then also kind of going off what Bernie said was really engaging them and making sure that they feel comfortable and doing some icebreakers and just letting them speak, not just listen, was a pretty big thing that I took away from our meeting. Those are for kind of smaller Albers clubs, but I'm sure it could pertain to clubs around campus as well.
I don't know how helpful this is, but so Joanne Lopez from our office mentioned she found a page called Gadget Finder on our Seattle U website, and it's a listing of all these different like apps and resources. And I think essentially if you go through that, then there's more access, is what I'm understanding. And so like you wouldn't have to pay the normal amount you would pay, that kind of thing. But they have different resources that might be helpful for like engaging your student club and doing like something that's unique and not kind of like the same old. I'm trying to figure that out myself and just kind of peruse through it and see what different things. Like I'm wondering if there's Kahoot there, because I know like the one that's not paid, you can only have like 10 or 12 or something like that participants. So, but I think it's potentially a good, you just type in literally Gadget Finder if you do like a search on Seattle U, and it like lists all these different gadgets, and you can do a search for like what you're looking for, how to create a presentation, et cetera, et cetera. And Bernie's saying Gather Town. Thank you, Bernie. So just a thought.
I think we're, I don't know if Michelle wanted to do the poll and slideshows. I know you're doing closed captioning.
I can turn, Viv, are you able to take on closed captioning for this next little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Fab, I'll assign you. Speaking of closed captioning, I think the last piece that I will add of considerations for virtual events is the accessibility components. You're able, I mean, right now we are just random people who happen to be affiliated, right, with this particular meeting that are captioning. So it's easy to assign somebody in your group to just caption for an event that you're doing. It's also a resource that's available through disability services. You can request paid captioners, people who do this for a living, to make sure that those events are accessible for folks who would benefit from captioning. A few months ago, we also did like a Zoom training where we also showed if you present a Google slide, like if you are doing a slide deck presentation, and you present via Google slide, there's a setting where it can automatically caption. So if you know that, say you're having an event and you can keep a slideshow on a shared screen up for the duration, then that'll also take care of some of the captioning components for you. I am going to go ahead and share a link if I can find where I put it.
Michelle, I have a question about captioning.
Yeah.
What we've been trying to do in our events, like on Connect SU, is like put a little one-liner about, like if you need, I don't know if we said captioning, but if you need a special accommodation, let us know, something like that. So I wonder if that's something we should encourage students to put so that you would have sort of like advance notice to be able to ask disability services for someone to help with that, because I think they need a little bit of leeway time. So that might be a good way of sort of, figuring that out so that, obviously have someone as a backup to do it, but, just a thought.
Yes, thank you so much, Victoria. And I believe it's usually 2 weeks or 10 days that they would like to be able to have that lead time.
Can I also add something too?
Yeah.
We talked about this during Welcome Week as well. And so we came up with kind of like a universal language for all of us who were planning events during that time to put on those events in Connect SU. So I'm happy to share that, if that makes sense. So that way it's at least a starting point for folks. And then if we need to adapt it to be more student club and org facing, we could revisit that conversation too, but just wanted to at least let folks know that there is a kind of like a first draft attempt of that already created.
Thank you so much. And Angel put in a note around Zoom having security features that you can lock a meeting, you can do a waiting room, and I know that that Tara's group of folks would definitely be including that sort of information in future information sessions. So before we leave, there are two things. This is going to be obnoxious for me to try and share, so I'll just show it in this format. We wanted to gather together resources for support. So this document is linked in your chat, so you can take that link, you can share it with other members of your club who are unable to be here today. It's a reminder for our CSI virtual lobby, Monday through Friday, 11 to 5, and this link will take you to the Zoom lobby room that's, again, available anytime during that time frame. So that's a drop-in place where you can show up if you have questions similar to how you would have dropped into our office if we were meeting in person. We have a link to the CES virtual event resources page, a link directly to the club handbook and the addendum, a link to the sport club's information site and the religious student groups information site. So again, those things, trying to keep them at your fingertips. Angel mentioned this earlier, but we have Fall Involvement Week coming up. This will be a really important opportunity for your club to be connected with students. So we can talk a little bit more about that if you have specific questions, but I think they've done a pretty good job communicating around what that will look like. So for the day that matches your club's category type, then you have that a connection with students from 11 to 2 on that respective day. I know we've talked a lot about Connect SU. I want to just make sure that you're aware that on September 29th, we are having a Connect SU training, really, so maybe you've been on there a couple times, but you really want to make sure that your club is just using it to its like fullest potential. This link will take you directly to the event page on Connect SU. And keep checking that event page. We'll have future Connect SU trainings that we're hoping those will continue happening monthly, as well as Procure SU and Inform SU trainings that are going to be really beneficial for your treasurers in particular, but many other folks. Our last question for you is, we want to know how often you would like these types of meetings where we can just convene, check in the times of COVID and others. How often would you like us to convene meetings like this? So I'm just launching a poll. The options are everywhere from monthly to once a quarter, twice a quarter, whenever in a new phase. So I just hope you understand that that's a new state of Washington, King County is in a new phase. So if we were to enter into phase 3 or phase 4, or if there's a different frequency, we'd welcome you to put it in the chat. While we're waiting for people to vote, I want to just uplift some of the things that are happening in the chat. Bernie has a link for land acknowledgement as a template that folks can use at events, and obviously personalize it to be really relevant and rooted in the mission of your event. The Zoom lobby is happening right now, and the first date for the Procure SU training is October 1st, so keep an eye out for those details. And then lastly, DeAndre did end up putting the, oh, thank you, Eric, putting the language in the chat. So we have 9 out of 10 folks. I'm gonna go ahead and end polling and share. So it looks like around once a quarter would be most beneficial for people, with a caveat that if we're moving into a new phase, that would potentially change that timeline to maybe happen a little bit more frequently if needed. Oh, I should share my results so you can see what I'm doing. That sort of concludes what we had for you all. Any other questions? Where can we find the SU Club and Organization for Guidance for Fall Word Doc? I can share my screen again to help you navigate to that. So again, in Connect SU, from just the home page, you can scroll down all the way down to the bottom and you'll see the Club Handbook Addendum. So when you click that, it'll open and you're able to view it. Is that helpful, Audrey? Awesome. Beautiful. We just really appreciate all of you, all of our panelists, participants for making time to come together with us today. There's so much wisdom in the room. I really appreciate the club members who were sharing things that you've seen or things that your club has done, because we're in this together, we're learning together. So I know in our planning meetings, we really wanted to talk about this as a partnership between our office and our offices and your organizations. So I just hope that you feel that as we work together this year.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. We'll stick around in case there are other questions that you all want to ask, but this will be the end of it. Thanks.